Hi everyone, welcome to the second lecture of Pulp. This will be a very short lecture and we'll be completing of the chapter in this video. So starting with the first topic, that is development of pulp. Sorry. So how does the pulp develop? Starting off when we have an enamel organ. So if you remember, we have something called the dental papilla in between at the center, and outside this we have something called the outer enamel epithelium, inner enamel epithelium, right? And then we have the crown developing and everything over here. So the definition says that this dental papilla, it is not called the pulp until dentine develops around it. So if you remember, what happens is that this dental papilla, first of all, this inner enamel epithelium, it develops into ameloblast and it lays down some enamel over here, and that enamel signals the development of odontoblasts from this peripheral layer of the dental papilla. So these cells, they develop into odontoblasts and then they lay dentine around it. So after dentine has been laid around this is called the pulp. Now after this is called the pulp, you can see that it also contains the blood vessels and nerves, right? So nerve fibers are seen in the dental papilla in 18th week of intrauterine life, and blood vessels are seen in the 24th week of intrauterine life. Okay. Now coming to the second topic, that is aging of pulp. So age changes of pulp, and this is very important, especially the pulp stone. Okay, so there's always a question or slide related to pulp stone. So there are five major changes we can see as the pulp ages. First is cellular changes. So what happens to the cells that are present inside the pulp? So first of all, we will have fewer cells. Okay, so the number of cells will reduce. They will also have a decrease in size and decrease of cytoplasmic organelles. Okay, so all these three will decrease. I told you in the previous lecture that the fibroblasts, they change in shape and they change in function, so we'll see those changes in the fibroblast as well. Now the second change is fibrosis. So what happens, there is deposition of fibers in the pulp. So if I have, this is my crown and this is my root, so I will see two type of fiber deposition. First will be diffused. Okay, so they will just lie down like this and this will increase in number. And second type of deposition I can see is bundled, right? So they will be bundled deposition. So first of all, the bundled arrangement are more frequently seen in the radicular pulp. So here in the root pulp I will see more bundles of fibers, and in the crown pulp I will see more diffused fibers lying down. Okay, so the amount of fiber, it increases in the pulp. Now the third change we have to look at is the vascular changes. So what happens to the blood vessels inside the pulp? So first of all, we can see some atherosclerotic plaque. So deposition of something like cholesterol or fats in the blood vessels. We can see this inside the pulp vessels as well. Okay. And the second change is the diameter of vessels increase due to deposition of collagen in the medial and adventitial layer. So what happens is that the vessels will get thick. Over here, I have three layers, right? So this layer, the medial layer, it is getting thicker due to deposition of collagen, right? So overall diameter, this diameter of the vessel will increase, right? Then the third change we can see is the calcification surrounding the vessels, mainly near the apical foramen. So there will be an increase of calcification or starting of like calcification deposit near the apex of the pulp. Okay, near the apex of your root of the teeth. So near the apical foramen, you can see some new calcified deposits. Then in the inside the blood vessels, and then you can see endothelium in elderly shows numerous pinocytic vesicles, microcytic vesicles and microfilaments. So these are some of the features that will start appearing in the endothelium of elderly, okay, in the older pulp. Now the fourth change, the fourth aging factor we have to consider is the dystrophic calcification or diffused calcification. So it is basically what is calcification? Okay, it is just a calcified mass. So it will have something in the center and then there will be calcified deposition around it. So you see this calcified deposition in the pulp usually surrounding the blood vessels. So maybe I have a blood vessel going around here and I can see some calcified deposits over here. Okay, they are found more commonly in the roots where denticles are seen more frequently in the coronal pulp. So denticles is the pulpstone. This is also called denticles. So these are somewhat similar. Okay, they are similar. I'll explain it to you later on. But this is saying that diffused calcification, I will find it more in the root. Okay, so I will have more diffused calcification in the root, and in the crown, I will have more pulpstones or denticles. Right. Now, the fourth and the most important aging factor we have to consider is pulpstone, right? So, pulpstones are of many types. They can be classified based on structure, so what are they made up of, or based on their location. Okay, so first of all, what is a pulpstone? So, a pulpstone or denticle, they are, and it should be nodular, not modular, nodular calcified masses appearing in either both the coronal and root portion of the pulp organ. So this is basically saying that it is a calcified mass. It is a pulp. It's called a stone. It is a calcified mass, and it can appear both in the crown or the root of the pulp. Okay. Now, how do we classify it? So I already told you it can be based on the structure or based on the location. So based on the location, it can be either free, attached, or embedded. So what does free mean? Free means that it is surrounded entirely by the pulp. So if you look, if I draw a diagram over here, right? If this is my teeth, if I'm looking at a mandibular incisor, and in the center I'll have my pulp, right? And then I'll have dentine surrounding it, and let's just ignore the enamel for now. Right. So if I have a free pulp stone, it will be present over here. Okay, so it will be completely surrounded by the pulp. Now the second type is the attached pulp stone. So it will be somewhere over here because it is partially fused with the dentine. And the third type is the embedded. So it is entirely surrounded by the dentine. So it is somewhere over here. Okay. So these are the three types of pulp stones based on the location. Now, the second classification is based on the structure. So, what is the pulp stone actually made up of? So, there are two types of pulp stones based on that. First is the true pulp stone, and second is the false pulp stone. So, let's see what are they. First, true pulp stone. Okay, what are they? So, these ones they resemble dentine. Okay, so they are similar to dentine in structure. They contain dentinal tubules and processes of odontoblasts. Okay, the odontoblasts are present on the surface, so they will be something like this. Okay, they will have dentinal tubules somewhere over here, right? And they can have some processes on the surface. Why are they called true pulp stone? Because they resemble dentine. Okay, and how are they made? So because of during development of tooth, maybe some HERS remained over here. Okay, and that later on got differentiated into odontoblast, and um, it formed some dentine in mass, and that dentine is called pulpstone now. Okay, so caused by inclusion of remnants of HERS within the pulp, which differentiate into odontoblast, and they later form dentine. Okay, then second type is the false pulpstone. So I'll just show you the diagrams later on. There's one minor difference between them. So false pulpstone, they do not contain dentinal tubules. Okay, so they look like the true ones, but they do not contain dentinal tubules. That's why they are the false pulpstones. They contain concentric layer of calcified tissue. It may be surrounded by collagen fibers. In the center, there may be remnants of necrotic and calcified cells. So what is this saying? How is it formed? That maybe I had my pulp over here. Let's say I had my pulp over here and some cells died. Okay, I had some necrosis over here. Necrosis means just a death of tissue or death of a few cells. Okay, so maybe some cells died over here, and my pulp was trying to contain the infection or contain the death. So what it did, it surrounded the entire thing with some calcified deposits. Okay, so the pulp surrounded this entire thing with some calcified deposits so that this does not spread. Okay, and now this formed a stone. So this is a calcified mass now, and now this is called a false pulp stone. Okay, so it contains necrotic and some necrotic remnants in the center, and it is surrounded, it is made up of the calcified deposit. Okay, concentric layer of calcified tissue. So how we draw it, and if you look over here, this is a true pulp stone, the first one I talked about, right? So it contains dentinal tubules. If you see over here, so this contains dentinal tubules, and you can see some odontoblasts over here on the surface, right? So these are odontoblasts, what I told you. And then if you look over here, this is false pulpstone. So false pulpstone, it has the necrotic debris in the center and concentric layer of calcified tissue. So you can see this concentric layer. Okay, concentric layers of calcified tissue. So this is the difference between true pulpstone and false pulpstone. Now coming to the very last topic for this chapter, clinical considerations. So you can just add on these points to enhance your answer, and you should know about this. This will be beneficial for you in second year and final year as well. So first is pulpitis. What is pulpitis? So pulpitis is just inflammation of your pulp. Okay, and why does it get inflamed? So it could be due to bacterial infection in case of like caries, or due to some physical trauma. So this is very common whenever you have a slight toothache, or if your tooth hurts upon eating something sweet, then it is generally pulpitis. Okay, the second disease we can discuss is the polyp or chronic hypoplastic pulpitis. So this is what a pulp polyp looks like. Okay, so you can see like a protruding mass out of the tooth. It is generally seen in children, okay, with open apex in form of hypoplasia. So there's hypoplasia, okay, there's increase in the amount of pulp, and you can see that the pulp chamber gets open, and this pulp comes out of the teeth, kind of. So this is called pulp polyp. It is generally treated through extraction or endodontic therapy, okay. And then the third disease we have to discuss is pink tooth. So what happens in pink tooth? This is also inflammation of the pulp. But what happens is after inflammation, the pulp kind of resorbs the dentine. Okay. So it takes away the entire dentine, and that space is occupied by the pulp now. So since your enamel is slightly translucent, you can see this pinkish tooth. Okay. So this is a tint of the pulp, and you can see the pulp over here appearing like this, and this is called a pink tooth. Okay, so this is it for the chapter. For notes you can find the link in the description. Okay, thank you.